So I'm very excited about that.
Oh,
He's
nice.
so cool. Yeah,
Can't
he's so
wait.
cool.
Awesome.
So we got a lot of things going on today. That is Rudy you see on screen right now. Say hi, Rudy.
Hey, what's up, guys? How are you? Good to see you.
All right. But the man that's blowing up on Discord, that's doing his thing, Gio Million. What's up, bro?
What's up, Mike? How you guys doing? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, bro. So I want to start with the defensive coordinator. I think with Mario now, and anybody watching, please leave your comments. Please, please, please leave your comments. I think Mario being so secretive and things like that, why do I feel like that's old school now and it's just not like that anymore? And nobody really likes that. And not that he's doing it for us, but I just feel it's so just old, an old way to do it. I mean, am I wrong in saying that?
No, I understand why fans would want a certain level of transparency, especially with the program that you're following from day to day, week in and week out. I'm sure everyone has probably seen what the Jacksonville Jaguars are doing now with their coaching search. They're basically listing, hey, look, we've interviewed this guy, and this guy, and I'm sure those fans are appreciative of that.
It's
Just
American Idol over there in Jacksonville. It's American
yeah.
Idol, literally American Idol.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I mean, there's been some names tossed around for the defensive coordinator hire, but reality is no one truly knows until that hire happens because that's how sealed everything truly is. There are names interested, but
Okay, so let's talk about some names because apparently the Gary Furman, the whole Tim Banks thing was a fluke from an agent that was just trying to get some heat on his
yeah,
client. The linebackers coach for Green Bay may be a candidate. I mean, who else do
Stephanie.
you have though?
Yeah, you have some other options out there. You look at some guys with some connections. For example, the defensive coordinator from Illinois, man, his name's skipping me now. I think his last name's Grant. Hold on, wait, had it here from my Discord actually. No, Aaron Henry. Sorry, Aaron Henry, who has a background from Immokalee, Florida. If everyone's very familiar with Immokalee, it's the same area where Edgerrin James came out from. Gold jacket, gold teeth, Hall of Fame running back.
Yep.
But he's been very successful himself with Illinois, and actually his defense with Illinois this past season, points per game wise, would have ranked number one in the ACC this year. I think Miami fans would gladly take an improvement like that compared to giving up. I think the average was 37 or 38 points given up within the last 4 games, which was brutal.
Hmm.
I have to ask why was it that Mario, now I'm gonna put this on the coach and I'm gonna put this on Cristobal, or maybe he believed in Gidry a little too much. Why did he not see all the problems with the defensive backs before you had to see it on the field? Couldn't he see this in practice? Couldn't he see this well before? But I really feel he thought he had a great defensive backfield.
Yeah, I've had that discussion with some people actually. So I like that you bring that up because now in retrospect, looking at it, I'm questioning like, okay, who were the guys that made the calls to say, okay, yeah, we're fine with Jaden Harris at safety and Mish Powell, even though Mish Powell's really a nickel and played nickel most of his career for the Washington Huskies, or just you look at a situation at cornerback, their depth this year behind what they had starting, all those guys are already in the transfer portal already. You look at Robert Stafford, Robbie Washington. I feel like I may be forgetting Deani Hill,
Yep.
also in there. All those guys are in the transfer portal. That was your depth this year. So basically, you had those guys pushed out of the program already, and it looks like just overall perspective of it. I'll keep it short and sweet. I think they totally overlooked it. I even thought so. Just coming out of the spring, I last year I thought they would try to add a safety. I know Jaden Harris was an understudy to Cam Kinchins, but that's no guarantee that that player is going to be Cam Kinchins 2.0 either.
Yeah. It's so interesting how Jaden didn't he get picked up by Georgia?
Yeah, so there was some connections there dating back from his high school days and some things going on there for him to go to Georgia. But
So we'll find out with him at Georgia, was it the coaching? Was it really Guidry, or was this a standout player? But I do have to say, a lot of players, besides the one that went to SMU this year, a lot of players, the ones they're pushing out, they don't really succeed at another team.
Yeah, very few and far between. You have your outliers like your Brashard Smith, who made plays at Miami himself. It's not like he was just riding the bench the whole way through. Or you look at another example, Jared Harrison Hunt, who was really productive for the Hurricanes throughout his career here in Miami, then makes his way over for his final year with SMU and becomes an all-conference guy. He, he showed a lot of flashes like that at Miami. So it wasn't like those guys were just bench guys. But then you look at a scenario like Elijah Roberts. Like I think out of anyone, he's the biggest success story. And the reason why I
Yeah.
say success story is because he didn't play a whole lot at Miami. He was at Miami for about 2.5 years, then moved on to SMU, got his chance there, became an All-American. He's gonna get drafted this year. So I do agree with you though. For the most part, I would say like 85 to 90% of the players that are either pushed out of the program or they end up just hopping in the portal for XYZ reason, they don't put up a lot of production. I will make a prediction though, hot take. I
Yep.
think I think wherever AJ Allen lands, he's going to produce.
Oh, dude. Look,
Yeah.
you know I'm all about AJ Allen on this show. I am all about what you got something to say, Rudy?
I was going to say there's no two better feelings in sports. As a guy who grew up in Minnesota watching the Gophers and watching the Vikings, watching people flounder with a program and then move on to a different program, and then within a year to two they either move into the playoffs or they win a championship or they put up a record. Watching that and then watching your rival lose a home game in the playoffs, those are the two best feelings in sports. Absolutely. So the fact that it sucks when it happens to your team, when somebody that you were like, oh my gosh, this guy has so much potential, he's got so much talent, why aren't we utilizing him more? When that guy goes on and becomes successful, it stings. So I'm glad that you brought up AJ Allen, because that was the name I was going to bring up, was where is this guy going to go and what is his projection going to be in the next couple of years? And man, is it going to suck when that guy is going first round, or maybe he ends up with a national championship or whatever it might be. That one's going to hurt a little bit because Michael's been screaming about
Oh
it
my
now for
God.
2 years.
But here's the thing.
Is-
Here's the thing on that. I'm hearing that AJ Allen might go to FIU, a smaller school, and a lot of people are making fun of that. Like, oh, your guy AJ Allen going to FIU. Look, I don't care where he goes. He's going to the place that's going to actually give him the rock so he can shine.
Well, the
yeah,
reason why he may end up at FIU is some previous Miami staffers are making their way over there to with the Golden Panthers. Willie Simmons is actually putting together a pretty good coaching staff there in Miami-Dade for the Panthers as well. So we'll see how that shakes out. But sometimes some of these scenarios have to do more with fit and relationships rather than just going to the next big name school. Because there's guys that I'll give you an example. There's a quarterback at Tulane right now who he hopped in the portal and now he's back with the team. That he's been at like 4 or 5 different programs, and the guy has never started, like have truly been entrenched as the starting quarterback at neither of his 4 previous programs.
Mm-hmm.
He was actually a one-time Mario Cristobal recruit too, Ty Thompson.
Ah, look at that. Look at that. Okay. So DC, we have no idea. Have we agreed on that? We have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's been names tossed around. Like, so for example, Tyler Santucci, the Georgia Tech defensive coordinator, there was some interest there from both sides. Nothing.
But we're not going to get, he's over $2 million. We're not getting him. Let's
yeah,
be
well,
honest,
the
Gio.
thing is, apparently he wants to stay put with the Yellow Jackets. So there's a lot of different names in play, like Aaron Henry, or you look at. I know some people have brought this up. I've actually seen the guy on campus before and at practices. Pat Fitzgerald, from the former Northwestern head coach, he's got whole litigation process going on for a hazing scandal that happened with Northwestern back in 2022. But yeah, there's been some discussions from people like, oh, maybe the connections are there because him and Mario get along really well. He's been around practice. Ed Orgeron's been at practice before too. That never truly means anything. I think the reality is that everyone's gonna know. basically right when it's about to happen. Is pretty much how this goes, and that was the same thing when Lance Guidry got hired 2 years ago. No one had a clue that Mario was trying to poach him from another team.
But can we please stop hiring people that are up and coming or we're their first big break? That's what I'm sick of right now. We're hiring people that, oh, this is my big break job. We don't hire people that are experienced, that have done well in college. Like we got a guy from Marshall, and that's great. I'm not saying it can't work out, but this is the Miami Hurricanes. I have so much pride. It's like, let's get somebody proven. Please stop trying to reach for these coaches that have done well at FCS, and let's get somebody that's done well in the SEC, the ACC, Big Ten, anything besides FCS. Am I wrong in saying that, Gio?
No, I don't think you're wrong at all. I don't think Miami fans want OJT on job training.
No.
I think the other thing Miami fans would like to see happen again is naturally when Miami was winning national championships or they were competing for national championships, when coaches came in, they were progressively moving up. And what I mean by that is if an OC came in, he was in the NFL within the next 2 to 3 years, and then you were on to the next guy. I'm sure Miami fans would like to see that happen again. I know everyone says, "Oh, well, then we got to start over and everything." Uh, Newsflash: Nick Saban did that quite a bit with Alabama. He had different coordinators every 2 or 3 years, but he was still competing.
Every year, I was listening to a podcast today where they're like, we need more consistency with coaches. Guess what? You're not gonna. There's two things you're not gonna have consistent:
Impossible.
players and coaches today. They're gonna leave. Both of them are gonna leave when they get a better opportunity. So Saban did it. Other coaches do it. Miami needs to do it. There's no such thing as consistency with coaches. Guess what? If Dawson has another great year and a great offense, he's gone too. So let's just get it out of your head that it's all about loyal. It's not. That's not the game anymore. It's getting to that next level, whatever level that is. And let me tell you, even if you're at Ohio State, if you're a DC or OC, you still want to be a head coach somewhere else. So it's not like that's the ultimate job either. So I want to switch gears here. DC, we still don't know. Quarterback. I want to talk about quarterback because I feel there's this, it's weird. Unlike the DC where I feel like they don't have direction and they don't know what they're doing with that, I feel there's a quiet confidence that they know who the guy is, or if they don't, even though Emory didn't show well, they're fine with the quarterbacks they have because they're going to be such a ball running dominant team. I don't know. It's this quiet confidence I feel on the quarterback side. Am I wrong in saying that? What are you seeing?
I wouldn't say entirely wrong. I would be lying to you though if I wasn't concerned
Yeah.
with how the process has shaken out. They've passed on quite a few guys. They missed on one or two along the way as well. Like for example, John Mateer. That was one that they really wanted to get into. Reality is, I even shared it back in November before Miami fans truly started talking about the guy. I said, "Guys, he's going to Oklahoma," and everyone's like, well, we'll see." I'll Like I've said, every different player is different scenarios. Some guys, it's relationships, it's the fit. Sometimes it's just the aura of a big school. But bottom line, what boils down to what's going on with quarterback, I've said for, let's see, now we're in 2025. I said back in the end of November, 2024, right when the regular season ended, that Miami would be evaluating the situations going on in the college football playoff. I think some of those scenarios are very obvious. You look at situations like Carson Beck with Georgia, you look at Quinn Ewers with Texas, a lot of the talk and discussion there that the Texas boosters, they already want Arch Manning in there at quarterback by next year because just how much they've invested into the kid, which is a conversation for another day about how
Yeah.
NIL sometimes comes into play with the playing time and this and that. There's some politics that go on here and there. But the other scenario that I don't think people are discussing enough about is the grad transfer market. Grad transfers do not fall into this same sort of line where they have to hit the transfer portal at the same time as other players. So I think that's a scenario that people are overlooking.
So what's that mean that they don't have if they're a grad transfer, they don't have to get in the portal and you can just grab them?
Yeah, so the way it would work is they are not set within the dates of where other players in the transfer portal enter or have to enter by, and then grad transfers, they have like kind of their own set of rules. Well,
Okay.
obviously you have to be enrolled into a school before their semester like truly begins and classes are like full up and running and whatnot. That key date to watch for the University of Miami is January 22nd. And then another key date to watch is January 15th, which is coming up very soon, just a week from now. That is the hard deadline for the NFL draft and declaring early and whatnot. So we'll see what guys like Carson Beck and Quinn Ewers do.
Rudy,
So you're
you had a
saying my
question?
uncle, yeah, you're saying my uncle Randy still has a chance because he still thinks he can sling a man. So if you're telling me that a guy who's got a graduate degree can still get out there and play for the University of Miami, I'm gonna give him a call. I think he might. Yeah. What was that? January 15th. He's got till. Good to know. All right. Yeah. By the way, I was looking up some potential quarterbacks coming out of high school, and maybe not so much for the Miami Hurricanes. And I was looking at this up last night, and maybe Gio, you can help me with a name. The kids that it's such a different scenario with kids that are coming up in high school now. Just even the quality of jerseys and equipment that kids have compared to what we had when we were, basically they put a laundry bucket on our head just to get out there. And these kids nowadays are playing with like $1,000 helmets. The kids I was looking at coming out of high school were they had these like professional photos and their hair is long and they got rippling abs and they're throwing the ball. And then there was a kid, my laptop died. I would have looked him up. I believe he had like a modern kind of name like Landon or Blandon or something like that. But he was I remember he was from Georgia High School. He was super doughy. He kind of reminded me of Tom Brady back, that picture that floats around of Tom Brady at the combine. He's a little doughy. He's got a bad haircut. But I watched game film on this kid, and that dude was slinging it. That dude was out there just crushing. And I'm like, it's sad that a guy like that isn't going to get an opportunity because he looks like he should be pumping your gas and not throwing the football.
Hey, we'll look back to like Ben Roethlisberger when he got into the NFL. When people looked at his physique, they're like, man, are you sure he's an NFL quarterback? Like, yeah, he was really big, but wasn't exactly the most in shape quarterback compared to some others. But
Yeah.
sometimes that comes into play. I know coaches nowadays, just even at the collegiate level, they're very big into like basically getting measurables when these kids are taking visits, or even the transfer guys too, like verified measurables. Because what happens sometimes is like the heights and weights get butchered on some of these high school rosters, or just even at other college teams and whatnot. So coaches like to do like their own little evaluation when they bring these guys in person for visits.
Yeah, we had this great comment right here that said, let me put it back up on the screen. It said Mario's first defensive staff was Harley guys getting their big break. We had a former Texas head coach. That is true. I was talking more about Guidry. Like, to me, we should keep that path, even though it didn't work out the first year. That should be the path we take, not have people on the up and coming. That's my only take. So we got Carson. Oh, go ahead, Gio.
Well, I think what soured people about that situation with Mario's first like assistant coaching staff, especially the Kevin Steele situation. Just obviously being an older defensive coordinator, really grinded out his teeth over the years with multiple different SEC programs, being at Auburn, LSU, even a stint at Alabama before his final stint there with Saban before retiring. But I think what soured people is just like the fact that it didn't work out that year. I think I shouldn't say I think I know, and I've had this conversation with someone who's been around this program for a very very long time. If any of you are very familiar with Larry Bluestein, who's
Oh, yeah.
covered all of South Florida and the state of Florida and all these collegiate teams, he said it that year after like the second or third game. He said, Gio, like this Miami team is one of the most devoid of talent that I've ever seen. Like just speaking about that first roster that Mario had. So Yeah, is it unfortunate? It didn't work out with Steele and whatnot. Yeah, of course. But
They didn't
Mike,
have the
I
talent.
I agree with you though that it shouldn't deter them away from getting a guy that's very experienced and tenured as long as it makes sense.
All right, so top candidates possibly for quarterback. I mean, Carson Beck, because he's dating one of those sisters that plays basketball, one of those twins. That's why they're saying he might come here. And then you got Urs if he doesn't go pro, but they're saying the rumor is he's $6 million. So we'll see about that. What else? Is there any other names? Because pretty much all of them I know are gone right now. Is there any other names we should look out for, Gio?
Yeah, at least from the playoff scenario, maybe a guy like Devin Brown at Ohio State. He's really been waiting his turn and whatnot. It sounds like they may turn the keys over to Julian Sayin next year, who's a five-star quarterback out of Carlsbad, California. Uh, Other names out there, like you even look at the situation like Kansas with Jalen Daniels, who he's been very productive throughout his collegiate career. He's had some really unfortunate injuries, but he's played some really good football too when he's been healthy. I know some Miami fans may not be excited about that name or they don't think it's the sexy name or whatnot, but he brings a lot of experience and he's been very productive throughout his career for the Jayhawks as well. And he came in with a group at Kansas that really built that program up. They had a tough year this year, but prior to this season, they were a really solid program that was like knocking on the door every year of being like, your favorite Cinderella team.
Yeah, who's your what's your take on Tyler Van Dyke, TVD signing with SMU today? Because don't they have that quarterback still coming back?
Yeah, they have Anthony Jennings coming back. I think you could see a scenario playing out with TVD where he may take a red shirt next year or whatever the scenario may be because he had a really serious injury for
Mhm.
the Wisconsin Badgers this year. May take some time off and just get comfortable, get in the system. He had his most success with Rhett Lashley at Miami before Rhett took the SMU job. So we'll see how it works out. And I see someone asked about Matthew Sluka,
Yeah.
quarterback who transferred out of UNLV. I don't expect Miami to go in that direction.
Okay. All right. All right. I got you. So yeah, TVD's best years was with Rhett Lashley. So we'll see how it plays out. But what's interesting is Miami could be playing TVD, which makes for
Yeah.
great television.
Yeah.
It's just great for television.
Yeah, and I know you brought up the Badgers. The Badgers would be better off getting the guy who sells hot dogs in the stands to be their quarterback because we have had such a bad run when it comes to guys who are supposed to be out there leading that team. Oh my gosh, it's
Rudy,
embarrassing.
y'all just lost 23 players in the portal, and y'all won't give up our guy that wants to come to Miami, Lucas.
I
Y'all
know.
holding him hostage. What's up
It's
with
so
that?
I know. Everybody was so excited with this new coaching staff that came in 2 years ago, and I'm so glad that they've proven that there's nothing of value there. Just get rid of all of them. Just start fresh. Just start from zero.
But
It's
but
depressing.
but that's the thing, Gio. We're upset about Miami, and we're 10-3. I could understand if we were 4-8. That's a different
Yeah.
story, right, Gio?
No, 100%. I was talking with some people about this in a group chat a few days ago. I haven't been as active in the group chats because just vacation and whatnot and coming back from it. But I had a conversation with a few people a few days ago, and we were just speaking about like the state of the Miami football program and what's going on and whatnot. And some guys were acting like the sky is completely falling down, and I told
Yeah.
them like, man, you guys got to get a grip because I don't know if you recall like the Randy Shannon era, like things were bleak, like really really bad.
You know what? People have very short memory. Like they don't remember the bad times of Manny Diaz, Randy Shannon, Al Golden. I mean, people don't remember this, but I do very clearly, and that's why I'm like 10-3 is not bad. And we're saying the sky is falling when we don't know who the quarterback is. You got Luke Nickel coming in who could compete. Who knows? You got Emery. We don't have depth at quarterback, proven depth, but I think they'll find a piece. And guess what? Our offensive line, no matter who's back there, the one thing they will have is time. And most teams can't provide that safety net for a quarterback.
Well, I'll give you a great saying though. It used to be, and this is shout out to the You Heard podcast with Joe Williams and Benny.
Oh, I love those guys. Yeah.
Lupa Batman. So I believe it was Benny that would always say this. He had told me about it one day, and I'm like, man, I love that saying. So he used to say, "Wake me up in December" when it would come to recruiting. I will say, wake me up in July. Wake me up in July. That's when you'll really truly know what Miami's going to have on its roster, because I think they've addressed a lot of needs in the transfer portal in the winter window, and they may not be done yet. A couple more additions, between QB situation and if Lucas can get into the portal before January 22nd and work his way into Miami. Miami is the heavy favorite there, but they're going to target more guys after the spring practice finishes up. You're going to have guys leaving other programs because this happens. For example, I'll remind people, Damian Martinez did not join Miami's roster until after spring. Tyler Barron was another. Sam Brown. I feel like I'm forgetting some guys here. Hold up. Who else? Oh, so one of the biggest ones, Simeon Barrow.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Not joined the program until after spring. So Miami's still in the market for a linebacker. They want another safety, maybe a defensive tackle, another one right after spring. So, and maybe a receiver.
Okay.
Still things that can come into play.
I want to end on some recruiting news. I want to get your take on a couple of people. First of all, who's your favorite transfer or recruit we've gotten over the last couple of weeks?
Huh.
Is it Ethan O'Connor?
Considering the fact that Miami's safety play was
horrendous,
atrocious levels, like I'm talking about, like people would say stuff about like guys like Gervin Hall and Casey Rogers many years ago. I think last year's safety play took the cake. So I would say Zachariah Poyser, the safety from Jacksonville State, about 6'2", 195 pounds, uber productive, had over 70 tackles last year, 3 interceptions, whole bunch of pass deflections, can actually play in space and make a tackle. It's a massive upgrade there already as it is. I think he'll help Miami a lot on the back end. So I would say he is probably my favorite because it's the most important right now, in my opinion. I understand people want a quarterback. I think a quarterback will happen, but Zachariah Poyser.
And I'll tell you this: Notre Dame is showing you don't need a quarterback to sling it everywhere. You just need a quarterback to get first downs with his legs here and there and just be accurate. Like the dude threw for 88 yards last game or something like that.
Riley Leonard's not tearing it up through the air. He's just running.
Right? Got a couple more minutes. I'm going to throw out names of some people we got. Just 2 names. You give me your first impression. Ethan O'Connor.
Absolute stud in terms of pure coverage corner. And I think the biggest thing, too, is he actually has length. It's not just a cover corner that's like your typical 5'10", 5'11". Like, this kid's a legit 6'1", 6'2", can run, had like over 10 pass deflections last year with the Washington State Cougars, 4 picks as well. I think he's going to challenge right away for a starting spot.
Alex Bowman.
Whew. Very key to land him. And actually, I warned people way ahead of time that Riley Williams was leaving the Miami football program, and people were shocked when it happened. But I said, hey, if you've been listening to the private board and reading on there, you would have saw that coming. But
why? First, let's talk Riley real quick, and then we'll get into Alex. Was it really the homesick issue?
Yes.
Because a lot of fans, they were saying he saw that such and such couldn't throw, so that's why he left. It was more about being homesick.
It wasn't that. But I think Alex Bowman will help them a lot. 12 touchdowns over the last 2 seasons for the Tulane Green Wave. And actually, if my memory serves me correctly, this past season, 2024, had 7 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So big 6'5" guy, about 250. Not exactly an inline tight end. I've watched his film quite a bit. Not like the best blocker, but definitely is going to help out Miami in the pass game.
No Cam McCormick. He's gone. But hey, he did his thing for us, and he was great at blocking. He caught a couple touchdown passes, so much respect to him.
I wouldn't be surprised if he gets invited to an NFL camp.
That would be awesome, man. What a story, right? What a story. All right, Gio, how can people find you? Of course, the Discord. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, of course. So I actually have a private board on Discord. It's called Geo's Private Board. You can actually find that on my X account, formerly known as Twitter, at GeoMillion, GeoMilian, and as in Nancy. Discord link is right there in the bio. You could subscribe to the premium if you want. We have some free content as well. We have some new things coming in 2025 in terms of just film breakdown, things on targets and commits and recruits and transfer portal guys. All that great stuff is coming in 2025 as well.
All right, Gio, thank you so much for your time, man.
Thank you, Mike.
All right,
Take care, buddy.
We'll see you next time. All right, thanks everybody for checking out the chat. Appreciate you. By the way, me and Rudy, we got a lot of Miami Hurricane fans that live in Orlando. We will be there January 17th and 18th at the Orlando Improv. Would love to see you there. We will see you next time. Make sure you subscribe. Please subscribe. We appreciate you watching this podcast. Hit the like, share it, all that good stuff. Later. All right. Cool.
Right on.